Have you ever pondered why Bahrain, a tiny Gulf state with no navy of its own, agreed to be part of US-led Operation Prosperity Guardian against Yemen? This question seems to defy logic, yet the answer is deeply rooted in the complex dynamics of geopolitics. Bahrain, though small in size, has always punched above its weight in international politics. By joining Operation Prosperity Guardian, it took a significant step onto the global stage. This operation, led by the US, aimed to secure the critical maritime routes in the Gulf region, and Bahrain's decision to participate was not taken lightly. Despite its lack of a navy, Bahrain brought something else to the table: legitimacy. Its involvement provided an Arab cover for the US, a much-needed asset after other Gulf countries, including powerhouses like Saudi Arabia and the UAE, rejected the alliance. Bahrain's participation, therefore, was not about military might, but about political positioning. So, what drove Bahrain to make this decision? To understand this, we must delve into the history of Bahrain's relationship with the West, specifically with the US. Bahrain is the regional headquarters for the US Fifth Fleet, hosting an aircraft carrier, several submarines, naval destroyers, dozens of fighter jets, and thousands of American soldiers. This strategic alliance dates back to the days of British colonialism, when Bahrain, along with other Gulf states, was carved out of Arabia to control major ports. This symbiotic relationship has its roots in the colonial era, where the West ensured these sheikdoms' independence from post-Ottoman Arabia, and in return, facilitated Western economic and political dominance in the region. This long-term relationship was further cemented when Bahrain and the UAE signed the Abraham Accords. Bahrain's involvement in these operations, despite its limited naval capabilities, places it at a unique intersection of geopolitics in the Gulf region. This decision, though seemingly out of character, underscores Bahrain's strategic importance and its role in the ever-changing political landscape of the Middle East. To understand the current dynamics, we must delve into the historical context. How has Britain's colonial past influenced the geopolitics of the Gulf region? The British Empire, in its quest for global dominance, left indelible marks on the world map. One of these regions is the eastern coast of the Arabian Peninsula. Most of the small Gulf states we see today, including Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates, were originally part of Arabia. These states came into existence through Britain's colonial interventions. The British Empire needed control over these major ports for strategic and economic reasons. When these states gained their independence in the 1970s, they did not entirely escape the clutches of Western influence. The United States, stepping into the shoes of the retreating British Empire, established naval and air facilities in these countries. These facilities ensure a continued Western presence and influence in the region. Take Bahrain, for example. It is more than just another small Gulf state. It serves as the regional headquarters for the US Fifth Fleet. This fleet is no minor naval force. It includes an aircraft carrier, several submarines, naval destroyers, dozens of fighter jets, and thousands of American soldiers. This fleet is a powerful symbol of American military presence in the region. The sheikdoms of the Gulf have fostered a symbiotic relationship with the West. The West ensured their independence from post-Ottoman Arabia, while they facilitated Western economic and political dominance in the region. This relationship has shaped the geopolitical landscape of the Gulf for decades. This historical backdrop gives us a clearer understanding of the current geopolitical dynamics at play in the region. The legacy of colonialism continues to influence the political, economic, and military decisions of these countries. It is a testament to the enduring impact of historical events on contemporary geopolitics. The sheikdoms have had a long-standing symbiotic relationship with the West, but is this symbiosis gradually eroding? Let's delve into the changing dynamics between the US and Saudi Arabia. The erosion of this symbiosis began with the disillusionment of the Saudis with the US during the Syrian war. The Arab nations were enticed into this war under the pretext of a deepening Shia-Sunni divide with Iran and its allies. However, it seems that the US's exit from the Syrian war left a bitter taste in the Saudis' mouths. Since then, the Saudis have been treading an inverse route, that of reconciliation with the Shia world. In March of 2023, under Chinese patronage, Saudi Arabia and Iran restored ties. This move marked a significant shift in the geopolitical landscape of the region. China and Russia have been tireless in their efforts to align the Middle East away from the West and towards the East. China has been particularly active, securing investment deals with the Saudis worth $10 billion. In 2022, trade between the two nations was worth over a staggering $106 billion, a 30% rise from the previous year. In contrast, US-Saudi trade was a mere $55 billion in the same year. This shift in economic alliance is further exemplified by the fact that Chinese companies are opting for bids in MBS Vision 2030 and in the kingdom's under-construction smart city, NEOM. The Gaza war has made this alignment even more obvious. President Xi Jinping's calls for ceasefire on Gaza and for an independent, fully sovereign state of Palestine. And the same solidarity with Palestine from Putin has been constant. The Arab nations have flatly rejected the US-Israeli narrative over Hamas and the Palestinian struggle. These shifts indicate a significant realignment in the geopolitical landscape of the region. In the wake of recent events, a new alignment seems to be emerging in the region. But what does this mean for the traditional powers? It seems the tide is turning, and there's a shift in the winds of political alliances. The Middle East appears to be gravitating more towards the East than the West. This shift is evident in the increased solidarity with Palestine from both China and Russia, as well as the Arabs' rejection of the US-Israeli narrative. This new alignment is also evident in the changing dynamics of trade and diplomacy. Take, for instance, Putin's recent whirlwind tour to the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Iran. This visit wasn't just a friendly stopover, it was a strategic move to strengthen Russia's presence in the region. And it seems to be working. Trade between Russia and the UAE has skyrocketed by 63% since the sanctions were imposed on Russia due to the Ukraine war. Interestingly, the UAE now accounts for 55% of Russia's total trade with the Gulf Cooperation Council region. But it's not just about numbers and trade, it's about influence and strategic alliances. Russia, being the de facto leader of OPEC+, relies on the UAE for trading and exporting Russian oil. On the other hand, Russia, a founding member of BRICS, also met the UAE under the pretext of BRICS expansion. This could signal the UAE's growing interest in aligning with the anti-US, anti-Israel axis. These developments may seem like isolated incidents, but when pieced together, they indicate a larger pattern. A pattern that suggests a possible shift in the balance of power in the region. A shift that could redefine the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East and beyond. So, as the sands of the desert shift with the wind, so too does the political landscape of the Middle East. And as we watch this new alignment unfold, one can't help but wonder, what does the future hold for the traditional powers in this changing world? These developments suggest a possible shift in the balance of power in the region. As we've seen, the geopolitical dynamics in the Gulf region are complex and ever-evolving. The relationships between these nations and their global allies have been shaped by a rich tapestry of historical factors, strategic alliances, and economic interests. Bahrain, a tiny island nation, has emerged as a significant player in these dynamics. Despite its lack of a formidable navy, Bahrain's strategic location and its willingness to align with US-led operations have amplified its importance. Its involvement in Operation Prosperity Guardian against Yemen underscores its significant role in the region, despite its size. The echoes of colonialism continue to reverberate in the Gulf. The legacy of Britain's interventions has left an indelible mark on the region, with the small Gulf states hosting US naval and air facilities to this day. This historical context provides a backdrop against which the present-day geopolitical landscape unfolds. Yet the symbiotic relationship between the Gulf states and the West, which has long ensured their mutual benefit, appears to be eroding. The disillusionment of the Saudis with the US, following their withdrawal from the Syrian war, has set the stage for an emerging realignment in the region. This shift has been further accentuated by Saudi Arabia and Iran, restoring ties under Chinese patronage, and the increasing influence of China and Russia in the region. The new alignment is becoming increasingly apparent. Trade relations are shifting, with China and Russia making significant inroads. The stance on the Palestinian struggle is evolving, rejecting the US-Israeli narrative, and the strategic partnerships are being reshaped, with countries like Russia and the UAE forging stronger ties. As these dynamics continue to shift, the future of the region remains uncertain. But one thing is clear: the geopolitical landscape of the Gulf region is far from static. It's a region in flux, where alliances are continually being tested and reshaped. As we continue to watch these developments unfold, we're reminded that the only constant in geopolitics is change itself.